DC, Alabama prisoner profiles. What's going on with y'all, man? Shout out everybody messing with the channel, man. New folks, welcome, you know what I'm saying? If you're from Alabama, y'all know what's going on, man. No reason you shouldn't be subscribing. Hit the like button, you know what I'm saying? I'm starting to get into some of these requests right here. This video was requested. Also, a happy 4th of July to everybody out there, you know what I'm saying? All my veterans, you know what I'm saying? All right, now Mr. Rutledge was serving a life sentence within the Alabama Department of Corrections. And here are the facts of his case. This is back from case occurred back in 1993. These facts are from his appeal, public online, from 1996. So, since the state's evidence tended to show that on December 22nd, 1993, Rutledge, the victims Kevin Edwards and Bradshaw Whitman, and Edwards' cousin Gerald Campbell were at Edwards' grandmother's house. Rutledge testified that they had been there about a day and a half and that they had been smoking gas. Yes, marijuana, y'all. Campbell testified on December 22nd, 1993. Edwards and Whitman were sleeping on the couches. He was sleeping on the floor when he was suddenly awakened around 5 a.m. by the sound of 2 gunshots. He testified he saw Rutledge standing over Edwards and Whitman with a gun in his hand. Campbell testified that Rutledge put the gun to his head and ordered him to search Edwards' body. Rutledge also forced Campbell to help him drag the bodies into the kitchen, where Rutledge shot each of them again in the head and dumped trash over them. Rutledge then told Campbell to take some Christmas presents that were in the house and a stereo to Edwards' car. Campbell testified that Rutledge then set fire to the trash on the bodies and to the couch. Rutledge and Campbell left in Edwards' car and went to Rutledge's house, where they took Christmas presents and the stereo to the attic. Campbell testified that they then walked to a nearby store and purchased a small amount of gasoline. They returned to Rutledge's house, and Rutledge poured gasoline on Edwards' car and set it ablaze. Rutledge then took Campbell to a small storehouse next to his house, tied him to a chair, taped his mouth shut. After about 2 hours, Campbell escaped and telephoned the police, and then they bammed his ass. Now, obviously, them some wild allegations there, you know what I'm saying? Craziness. So Rutledge would go on to serve time in the Alabama Department of Corrections, and 3 years into his sentence, he appealed his case, and it was denied. Fast forward all the way up to 2014, he filed a motion for post-conviction relief, and that was also denied. So he's just in that bitch waiting to make parole. Now, fast forward, Mr. Rutledge is about 44 years old, and he's serving time at William E Donaldson Correctional Facility, right? So this is from the lawsuit. There's a prisoner baked to death in his prison cell, with his internal temperature soaring to 109 degrees, according to a lawsuit filed by his family. Relatives of Thomas Lee Rutledge alleged the 44-year-old perished while being held in the William E Donaldson Correctional Facility in Bessemer, Alabama, according to the Associated Press. They also claimed that staff and employees within the Alabama prison who controlled the jail's heating system were negligent. He was housed on a mental health ward, where inmates were confined to their cells around the clock, including eating and bathing in their cells. Shit. His death was the direct result of the deliberate indifference or malice of prison officials, corrections officers, and maintenance personnel at Donaldson, and of the negligence and or wantonness of the contractor entities. That says the lawsuit filed by his sister. Shit. So they saying y'all negligent, and the damn contractor that built this motherfucker negligent. It's hot as a bitch in there. It's hot as it's hot, and it's hot as fuck. You know what I'm saying? Look at this picture. You can see in there. Look at the sun beaming through that damn window. You know it's hot as a man. And this is in December. So what's going on? What's going on? Moving on. Says on the night of December 7, 2020, the temperature in the ward where the prisoner was being held had soared. The lawsuit alleges prison staff knew of the problems with the heating system in the mental health unit before his death. The Associated Press said an investigator who was present that evening after Rutledge's death commented in a recorded interview that when he opened a tray door to speak with another inmate, it was, quote, hotter than 3 hells. My God, see? While staff claimed they had performed checks on the inmates, there was no record in their notes of the high temperatures. However, Rutledge was already suffering from life-threatening heat distress at this point. It was 8:20 p.m. An inmate runner reported to the cube officer sensing that Rutledge was non-responsive, the lawsuit says. He later died of what was termed hypothermia. Now, I'm no medical expert. I'm not finna go into looking up health shit to make these videos, but I thought hypothermia was for the cold, but I guess it's for the heat too. Crazy. Article goes on, the U.S. Department of Justice has an ongoing lawsuit against the state over prison conditions, and mentioned the hypothermia death in a court filing last year as an example of the, quote, serious risk posed by dangerous conditions in the Alabama prisons for men. Quote, Rutledge had been sentenced to life without the possibility of parole in 1995 for offenses committed when he was a juvenile. He was hopeful for a new chance at life after a Supreme Court decision held that mandatory life sentences without the possibility of parole for juvenile offenders were unconstitutional. NBC News reported earlier this month, had he lived, he would have become eligible for parole and possible for release in 2024, the lawsuit says. Man, he was almost there. Ain't no guarantee you getting that shit after that, but he was almost there. It adds, he had dreams of, quote, obtaining his freedom, joining his mother in Alaska, that's an interesting family in Alaska, and starting a new and productive life. Man, crazy. Now, I guess that lawsuit is it's still ongoing, because this article right here, I think it's from like 2022, so I guess it's still ongoing. Not been much developments. You know, the Alabama Department of Corrections lawyer dude that's making what was it? He's making millions of dollars defending them against the government already. Is gonna drag this shit out as long as they can. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's really crazy. Like, the state just really dug their heels in and is like, we don't have a problem. Fuck your investigation. We're not giving the federal government records. Like, they really finna have the real deal come in. It's gonna end up happening. They not. You know what I'm saying? They ain't fixed shit. Anyway, these are the shitbags responses. So, the Department of Corrections reportedly told AL.com that it could not comment while litigation was pending. Standard reply. An Alabama-based heating, ventilation, and air conditioning company, P&M Mechanical Incorporated, also did not respond to inquiries. However, the company responded to the complaint per NBC News and alleged that Rutledge's death was not a result of any actions by the company and that they, quote, didn't have sufficient information to admit or deny the allegations regarding whether his death was the result of indifference or malice from prison workers and maintenance personnel. So that's that company right there, as you can see. Put them on blast there in Jefferson County. So, you know what I'm saying? We don't know whether, I mean, if the heating system is malfunctioning in the winter to a point where it's 109 degrees, like, I know them folks probably only had heat because it's a mental health ward. It doesn't sound, I'm like, they got heat, they got air. You know what I'm saying? I guess because it's a mental health ward, you got to keep them folks comfortable. You know what I'm saying? But this is crazy. They ain't had them folks come in and look at the air conditioner with 109 degrees. And I know the officers probably, they're used to the temperatures just like the inmates are. You know what I'm saying? But it's got to be hotter than the cell than it is out in the pod or in the fucking cube where they're sitting, where it probably has air conditioner or a fan or something like that. But they have to get out of them conditions too when they walk and do rounds and shit, if they even do rounds, you know what I'm saying, to check on these folks. But man, y'all let me know what y'all think about this in the comments, man. DC, Alabama prisoner profiles, The Voice. Y'all know what's going on.